Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and today's video is going to be kind of a tutorial video, but I'm not really going to be explaining anything in-game. I'm more or less going to be explaining what a meta is, because constantly in my videos I'm talking about the meta, talking about the GOAT meta, talking about the Reaper meta, meta, and I haven't fully explained what a meta is, what it even stands for, because it's an acronym. It means something, but as to why it's so important as to know what is meta right now, what heroes are meta, and as to why your heroes aren't necessarily bad, someone count down below how many times I said meta. So like I mentioned before, meta is an acronym which stands for most effective tactic available. And when we're referring to heroes saying like, oh, Brigida's so meta, or Zarya's so meta, basically they're the most effective heroes available. Or if we're talking about the dive composition, or the pirate ship composition, or the go composition, yeah, that's the most effective strategy or tactic available. And that's going to be very important to remember in future comp games, but especially right here in this video, because this is going to be explaining as to why some of your favorite heroes, be it Symmetra, Torbjörn, May even, why they're not necessarily bad, okay, but why they're not effective. And to help you better understand as to why your favorite heroes aren't necessarily bad, just not effective, is referring to one of the most hardest intense game that I've ever been a part of, and that's rock, paper, scissors. So in rock paper, scissors, if you're playing with a friend, if you do have friends, you have three options. The first option is rock, which beats scissors. However, you can't pick scissors, which can beat paper, but you can also pick paper, which beats rock. This is a perfect meta game. This is a perfectly balanced game. You have three options that could either win you the game or lose you the game or tie you the game. Not one option is better than the other. This game's meta, or their most effective tactic available, is all three options. This is the 0 point that the Overwatch team is trying to get Overwatch at right now, trying to get every single hero to that balance point, to be able to counter the rock or being able to counter the paper. Now, unfortunately, Overwatch isn't as simple and as intense as rock, paper, scissors, because you gotta take in consideration a bunch of different heroes with primary forms of fire, different abilities, ultimates even, as well as the maps and what you're playing on, if you're attacking, defending, if you're on a control map, so on and so forth. However, still talking about the meta and really explaining as to why some of your heroes just are not effective, let's go back to that rock, paper, scissors analogy and put in a fourth option, which is a tactical nuke. Alright, so you have rock, you have paper, you have scissors, which counter every single one of those options, but the tactical nuke option, the fourth option, destroys all three of those options. So now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is the most effective tactic available for rock, paper, scissors? That's right, the tactical nuke. Does that make scissors a bad option to pick it? No, not necessarily, because you're going to be able to beat paper most of the time. You just have to get lucky that the enemy the enemy player doesn't pick a tactical nuke. But why would he not pick a tactical nuke? And why would you pick scissors knowing that a tactical nuke would beat scissors? This is why it's important to understand the meta, because just like in rock, paper, scissors, Overwatch is basically the exact same thing. Symmetra isn't bad because she is able to stop heroes like Genji and stop heroes like Hammond, but she's not able to stop heroes like a Winston, a Zarya, a Reinhardt, a Brigida, all these actual meta heroes. So then what makes a hero meta? What makes a hero effective? And the simplest way that I can break it down for you is list off all the counters, all the obstacles getting in the hero's way from being effective. I'm just using Symmetra as an example. Doesn't mean I hate her. It just goes to show that she's not effective comparing her to Zarya. Because when you look at obstacles that get in the way of Symmetra being effective, you gotta think of Pharah counters, you gotta think of Winston's diving on her and protecting himself from the turrets, meaning the turrets aren't effective. You gotta think of a Roadhog hook being able to go in and hook her and one-shot her. You gotta think of a soldier shooting from... There are so many obstacles getting in her way, meaning that she's not going to be effective, even though, yeah, she can stop very mobile heroes because of the turrets that can't protect themselves, like the Genji and Hammond. But then you look at a hero like Zarya, and you think, alright, what gets in the way of her being effective? Maybe a Reaper, since Reaper feeds off of this big beefy tanks to be able to fill up his health bar, and that is what makes Zarya or some of these other tanks so effective in this current meta. The fact that, well, in Zarya's case, that there's such little counters, such little obstacles getting in the way of her being effective, along with her being able to stop other heroes in this hero roster, be it a Pharah shooting down at her. Well, you're just going to be able to build her charge up to make her even more effective, along along with Doomfist. If Doomfist goes in and tries to smash on a squishy or whatnot, well, Zarya's just going to be able to bubble that squishy, and now you're just a sitting duck, and you built her ultimate charge. So she has tons of value, tons of counter ability on the enemy team, and low counters for herself. Compared to Symmetra, she has none of that, or at least not a lot of that. So going back to that rock, paper, scissors analogy, the rock here is Doomfist, the scissors is Symmetra, and the paper is, let's say, Mei or whatnot, and then tactical nuke is Zarya. But you forgot the fifth option, which is a cockroach. So now this whole entire rock, paper, scissors game just got messed up because of a new additional pick. You have rock, paper, scissors, tactical nuke, and cockroach. Now cockroach gets destroyed by the first three options, by rock, paper, and scissors, but it does not get destroyed by the tactical nuke. And the analogy here that I'm trying to make is the cockroach is Reaper. Reaper has tons of counters, right? Be it a McCree, a Soldier, a Pharah. There are a lot of off-meta counters for Reaper, but the fact that the most meta thing right now, the most meta thing, be it the tactical nuke or all these tanks, are so popular, Reaper feeds off of that, making him meta. So now the consideration is, all right, am I going to be able to be effective on what's on the enemy team? If on the enemy team is like a Pharah, is like a Soldier, whatnot, like I mentioned before, yeah, Reaper's not going to be effective. But if on the enemy team there's a Winston, a Diva, and a Hammond, Reaper's going to be the best option or the most effective tactic available, even though he has tons of other counters, the rock, paper, scissors, but he beats the tactical nuke. Hopefully that analogy made sense. It makes sense in my head. Hopefully I can have some visual representations to better make it understandable. And that is what makes a meta. Just really think to yourself when you're about to pick someone like Mei or Pharah or Tracer or Symmetra. Am I going to be able to be effective compared to picking someone like a Reinhardt, or Zarya, or Winston? Because most of the time you will be effective no matter what's on the enemy team. But when you pick all these other heroes, you have to think, well, a Brigitte could stop me as Tracer, or a Soldier can stop me as Pharah, and a Winston bubble can stop me as Mei, and that is what makes them ineffective, and that's why I want to make this video to tell you your hero isn't bad. I listed my favorite hero in this video too. They're just ineffective. So anyway guys, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.